At exactly 0:47 hours on March 9, 2026, the flight decks of three United States Navy amphibious assault ships, USS Baton, USS Wasp, and USS Arlington, simultaneously came alive in a choreography of controlled violence that had been rehearsed, refined, and war-gamed for 6 months without a single public announcement. The Gulf of Oman was 28 degrees Celsius at the surface, the air thick with salt haze and the low drone of aircraft engines running up to flight power. And then, in the space of 11 minutes, 61 CH-53E Super Stallion and CH-53K King Stallion heavy-lift helicopters, the most powerful rotary wing aircraft in the United States arsenal, lifted from 3 separate flight decks and merged into a single massive formation heading northwest. 4,212 United States Marines were in the air. This was the moment that CSIS analysts had publicly warned about in their February assessment of the Iran campaign. The U.S. strike force was powerful but critically incomplete. It had carriers, destroyers, submarines, and the most advanced air fleet in history. What it lacked, what every Pentagon planner and regional adversary knew it lacked, were Marines. Ground-capable, door-kicking, objective-seizing Marines with the mobility, firepower, and logistics to reach targets that cruise missiles could not finish, to hold terrain that aircraft could not hold, and to send a message that no amount of Tomahawk footage could fully transmit. The message that American boots could arrive from the sea, in the dark, in numbers that Tehran's remaining military command could not intercept and could not stop. That message was now airborne at 150 knots. To understand what was happening in those CH-53 cargo holds, you have to understand what the 26th and 22nd Marine Expeditionary Units had been doing for the previous 11 days. They had not been waiting passively. While the Air Force and Navy conducted the most intense sustained air campaign since Operation Iraqi Freedom, B-52HS from Diego Garcia, striking 200 Iranian targets in 72 hours. Tomahawk Block 5 missiles, destroying IRGC command nodes from Virginia-class submarines, F-15E Strike Eagles hunting mobile, missile launchers at low altitude across Khuzestan province. The Marine commanders aboard the amphibious ships had been running continuous intelligence fusion operations, updating their mission packages, and rehearsing their insertion profiles in the ship's Combat Operations Center using real-time NGA imagery of their objective areas. They had 4 primary mission sets. All 4 were launching simultaneously. Mission set Iron Anvil was the largest. A reinforced battalion of 1,400 Marines from the 26th MEU's ground combat element, lifted by 32 CH-53Es in 3 waves, tasked with seizing and securing Bandar Jask, the Iranian naval base at the eastern entrance to the Strait of Hormuz that had been identified as the primary surviving IRGC naval command node directing continued anti-shipping attacks. Jask had survived 11 days of strikes because it was defended by S-300 surface-to-air systems that made direct air attack prohibitively costly, and because it was co-located with a civilian fishing harbor that American strike planners had carefully avoided. Marines did not have that constraint in the same way. Marines could arrive at the perimeter, identify combatants from non-combatants, and clear the military objective with precision that a 2,000-pound bomb could never achieve. The CH-53Es carrying the Iron Anvil force flew at 200 feet above the wave tops for the first 60 nautical miles of the insertion route, below the radar horizon of any surviving Iranian coastal air defense system, in a formation so tight that the rotor wash of one aircraft was felt by the crew of the next. The acoustic signature of 61 heavy-lift helicopters at 200 feet altitude over open water is unlike anything in the catalog of military sounds. It is not a rumble, it is a physical pressure, a rhythmic compression of the air that you feel in your sternum before you can identify it as rotors. The Iranian fast boat crew that encountered the leading edge of the formation at a range of 800 meters had approximately 4.5 seconds between first acoustic contact and the moment AH-1Z. Viper attack helicopters, flying escort at the flanks of the formation, opened fire with their M197 20mm, 3-barrel cannons. The fast boat's radar transmitter was destroyed in the first burst. It never broadcast a warning. Mission set. Silver Lance was tasked to a different kind of objective. 48 hours of continuous RQ-4. Global Hawk overhead imagery and signals intelligence from an EP-3 E-Ares. 2 aircraft operating outside Iranian airspace had located a hardened underground complex beneath a former IRGC Aerospace Force logistics depot 34 kilometers north of Bandar Abbas. The complex was assessed with high confidence to contain the surviving command infrastructure of the IRGC Quds Force's Regional Coordination Cell, the operational brain behind the cross-border proxy attacks that had killed 6 Americans in Kuwait, struck the U.S. Embassy in Riyadh, and directed drone operations against Gulf state critical infrastructure. Killing this node from the air was not possible. The facility was 22 meters underground beneath reinforced concrete that even a GBU-57 massive ordnance penetrator could only partially defeat without certainty. A Marine Raider element, 48 operators from Marine Raider Regiment, 1st Marine Special Operations Battalion, was going in on 4 CH-53K King Stallions with the explicit mission of confirming the location of the command node and emplacing a targeting package that would allow a terminal strike to finish what aerial bombardment could not. The CH-53K King Stallion carrying the Silver Lance operators was, by any measurement, the most capable helicopter in the history